Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me is
This is Josh, aka Spock's other long lost sibling.
and we are back. So if you guys have not realized this, we are lifelong Trekkies. This is a thing. We watched all, even Enterprise. We've watched every series, the cartoons,
I didn't finish Enterprise.
The movies.
Don't spread that slander.
I have finished Enterprise. So I've watched. So our Trekkie cred is we have been here since just before. So with that being said, we have taken on the onus of watching Star Trek Academy, and it just dropped. We're in 3 episodes in right now. I've watched the pilot. Josh is already fully caught up, but we had enough that we can at least give our first initial reactions to it. And then also we wanted to give a quick shout out to our brother D, who tried to watch Star Trek Academy and he got through the first 20 minutes and couldn't do it. AKA he had to jump ship from Star Trek Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Yes. Boo, I hate that name.
I love
it's so
that.
Right. It's so perfect. I hate it.
So with that being said, what we'll do is I want to start positive and things that I enjoyed about it. I mean, I'm only going off of the pilot episode, and then like you can kind of fill in the gaps. I don't care about spoilers, and it's dropping weekly. So when it's finished up, we'll come back and do a full impressions about the whole review of the whole season. But anyways, just for even a little bit of a context, Star Trek Academy, the concept has been around for at least 10 years. They've been thinking about doing something like this for a long time.
It's been more like 30.
Yeah, it's just a generation. Yeah.
They've been talking about doing this since after Star Trek 6, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's been a concept that's been on the shelf for a very long time. The good people of Kurtzon or Orsi, is it Orsi? That's how you say his last name?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace. They, after their successes with Discovery, and Strange New Worlds, which is awesome, by the way, they were tasked to kind of take that concept and kind of give it a new shine and bring it into the current Discovery continuum, which is in the future and that kind of stuff. Off the rip, it's actually kind of a nice idea, right? Like the Starfleet has been decimated. We have to start from scratch. We're going to have to start doing a whole new thing. So I think the premise of that coming into Star Trek Academy is kind of cool. Where like we haven't had an academy for over 100 years. We're trying to start it back up again. And it's going to be it's going to have the same trappings of what we've done for the Federation, but set in a new time where it really is a brave new world. Like this is they're really starting Star Trek from scratch, which is actually pretty cool. So the concept of that and setting it in the future space of where Discovery left off, I think is actually a good idea because at least that propels things a little bit forward, allows you to bring new characters in, new races, but then also tap on some nostalgia tinges. So one thing I will say from the jump, like first impressions, I thought casting wise was really, really, really well done. I like the casting from top to bottom. Everyone is super fun. I love the Tatiana Maslany cameo. Like right when I saw her, I was like, "Hey, Orphan Black, let's go!" Also, if you've never seen Orphan Black, do yourself a favor and go watch it. That shit is amazing. It's super, super underrated, and it's really, really good. But just a second. Super, super underrated and really, really good. But yeah, it like Paul Giamatti is having way too much fun. Way too much fun. Like you could tell, like the moment he's on screen and anytime he's just having the time of his life. And I personally love when actors get to play villains, and that's something that they don't normally do. And you can tell because he's just enjoying every second of the whole time. It's much like when Michelle Yeoh was being a villain on Discovery, where you could just tell she was just having a ball. And like that part just adds a lot to the overall cast. Also, Holly Hunter as a Lathian was actually pretty cool. I thought that was a good little twist of it, making her being like at first you're like, oh, it's regular old white woman as a captain, but it's like, oh no, you're old and you have some mileage, you know your shit. That's kind of cool. And then
the character is old.
Yes, the character is old. Sorry,
be ageist.
Aged up. And then my other impressions of the other impressions of the kids was it was interesting enough where I was kind of like, okay, cool. In this group of kids, you got your lovable rogue, you got your shy Klingon, you have two races that are new that they've created, which I thought was awesome. Like that's my thing. I like that Star Trek still tries to create new races, and I think that was actually a cool thing. I need to make sure I'm gonna look her name up, but the black woman that plays the hologram character, she's really fun, and she really you can tell again she was trying to bring something different, but definitely have like a nice area of lightness to it, which I think any of the Kurtzman Star Treks need because they'd be too dark. But yeah, that was my initial impression of just the cast itself. What was yours for the casting wise?
Casting wise, it works. It's a fun group. I feel like this is the lightest I've seen Holly Hunter possibly ever.
Ooh, true.
And that's a positive. That's not a knock. Like she really seems to be having fun. And yeah, but I mean, it tethers nicely to Discovery. I thought adding, sort of having the tether of, players like Oded Fair as Admiral Vance was a solid move. Overall, it's like you said, you put it perfectly. It's really light and fun, and it's not what I feared, which was that it was going to be, Dawson's Trek 2.0, the J.J. Abrams movies being Dawson's Trek 1.0. It's light, it's airy, it doesn't take itself too seriously. I think, some of the hybridization of the characters, half Jem'Hadar, which is its own thing that we will not get into, but the half Jem'Hadar, half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon officer in Captain Thok, Commander Thok, excuse me. It raises some questions, and that's putting it lightly, because literally every discussion group, every Trek discussion group that I'm in is pretty evenly divided between, oh, well, we don't know how is it, they didn't explain how it's possible that a Jem'Hadar and a Klingon could procreate if Jem'Hadar are created in breeding chambers and there are no female Jem'Hadar, and blah 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 blah. Like it's a thing. I apologize to the one group that I did explode on when the topic was, I don't see the big deal. I did lose my mind a little bit. I haven't. I thought I kicked the sauce arguing on the internet, and very clearly I'm still in what do they say? One day at a time. Yeah.
Yep. I would say the other thing is, like, with that, for some reason Klingon is basically just be slanging D all over the universe, because there's a bunch of half Klingons in this show, and I'm like, you guys could have used literally any other race that would make more sense. But I'm curious what that thought process is, and so maybe they'll show it, maybe they won't. But that even Paul Giamatti's character is half Tellarite and Klingon, which is kind of like, okay, like, just, again, I'm like,
that's even weirder.
Yeah, so I would hope that they explain why the Klingons are in lesser are not around as much anymore,
right? They're not as big a presence.
Yes, and why that there's all these halfies, like half breeds everywhere. Because I think
it's easy enough to explain the half breed thing. Like, at 900 years into the future, people are races are commingling a whole lot more.
True. But you're not
So
seeing as many, and then also, especially in the Discovery realm, we didn't really, once they went to the future, you didn't really see Klingons as a presence anymore. So like that's something that to me is like a story that needs to be told to like let us know what's going on, because that was a big gaping hole in Discovery. Besides many of them, but there was just like, yo, they ain't no Klingons. Like we ain't seen not in the background, like you know. So I'm
to
I'm
have
very
two
curious.
Klingon, three Klingon characters. Okay, all right, you made up for it. I'll allow it. Like I said, it'd be cool if they explain the Jem'Hadar Klingon thing. I feel like this is another misstep on their part, like the redesign of the Klingons at the beginning of Discovery. This is the same thinking. Like, yo, you can't be retooling stuff with Star Trek to this degree. That said, though, the actress Gina Yashir, killing it. She is excellent. Easily my favorite character. Easily. She is
she had so, and again, going back to it, she has a lot of fun. And I think like when you have like, you know, pretty asshole number one and pretty asshole number two, and like they're very just blank slates, you're kind of like, okay, you know, you're the lovable rogue, you're like, I'm rebellious, and I'm gonna come back to think, we know you're like, again, the comparison of the pilot of being almost a mirror of a Discovery pilot, where it's like woman captain is trying to help the rogue minority not be an asshole kind of a thing. And I see, when I was watching it, I was thinking that in my head. Again, they did a good job of it, but I like that Gina Yashir's character kind of like broke that automatically in that first hit, and it didn't have to be the captain, which made it cool. So it showed like one of the things I was looking for in this episode was like, okay, we know these people look pretty great. So what is the thing for each one of them is that it's going to break it, right? Like, what's going to be their thing? Because I think for Star Trek in general, when there's a cast and there's a quote unquote crew, each crew member is a very distinct thing. And that was we talked about this. That was my beef with Discovery, where it was like black guy number 2, Asian guy number 1, random alien girl. Like I didn't know the crew. Besides outside of the
bridge crew was just people.
Yes, exactly. And I like that this one, as these characters get in, there's a little bit of quirks. Oh, okay, black girl is a hologram, and there's a whole hologram community, and And the doctor,
she hasn't really interacted with anybody. Whereas, like you said, you were about to say, the doctor has been around all this time. So he's been around for almost 1,000 years now. Been around almost 800.
Yeah,
I want to say like 800, 850, somewhere there about. Which is again, hey, dope. Hope they got a backup
and explaining why he looks old too. That was great. Also
details like that.
Yeah, the Nepo baby, where she was like, "Oh, my dad's the admiral. That's why I kind of know a little bit more than everybody else." But then
she's got a chip on her shoulder because she doesn't want to be just seen as an admiral's daughter. Perfect,
great, easy, simple, up the middle. Asshole number 2, he's like a blank slate, pretty boy bully. But then all of a sudden, now you find he looks completely different, and he's not really that cool with that. And he has a little insecurity. Okay, easy. Like again, hitting the nice beats where it's like in the first episode, I was like, cool. I have a basic sense of who these characters are, what their motivations are, where a trajectory of where they could be. Easy, quick, love triangle thing off the bat. Nice.
Right.
And then also too, going back to the Holly Hunter, I like that, you have little bits that help her character, right? When she meets Commander Thok, the first thing she says, she's like, "Oh, we got your library collection into your quarters. You have an impressive library of books." And then later on, you see her in her captain's chair, like reading a book with her glasses, but like she's like in it, like all scrunched up, like you would be if you were a avid bookworm, right? So
and
like
barefoot.
Those little things again goes and barefoot. So those little things help to get those characters. And I thought from a pitch up the middle, like cool, you're getting all the beats that we need to at least establish who these folks are, why we should care, and then you throw them into a situation automatically to be like, okay, how are they going to work together? Oh, now there's mutual respect between the people or whatever.
As the saying goes, everybody has a lip and a mustache. There's something that makes each character very distinct, that separates them from the other characters. And you go straight down the line from Commander Thok, Captain Ake, Caleb, who is just annoying at times. Jet Reno, our a personal favorite of the pod. Jet Reno is on the show, and she's actually rather prominent in every episode. Love it. If I had a third thumb, I'd give it a third thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that, because she's awesome as a comedian and actor, and she's really great in this role.
Is awesome.
And she definitely brings she helps the shows she helps wherever scene that she's in be a lot better. And I think that's the part that I liked it. I think the homie that plays the Klingon, Jaden Craig, which is a Korean Deanne. I like his I like that he's understated, and I like it's quote unquote a shy Klingon. But I think it's very interesting. I like that they
underplayed just a little too much.
Yeah, he could have flashed at least once in the pilot episode. That would have been cool.
Yeah,
but I like
and shout out to Kareem. Met him at Comic-Con. Him and his dad backstage at the press conference for the Star Trek panel. Good dude. Him and his pops were great. I had a very long conversation with them. They didn't let us interview people on camera, unfortunately, because I would have absolutely interviewed him. But homie from Nigeria, his family. Sorry, I might be misremembering where in Africa he's from. I don't want to misstate it. But him and his pops are from Africa, somewhere in Africa. I forget where. Forgive me. And just a super great guy. And as was most of the cast. Like I had, quick words with a chunk of the cast, and they all seem to have the same sort of personality type, if that makes sense. Like when you see a friend group and you see that they get along a certain kind of way, like they're not all the same, like they're not homogenous, like they're not all the same person, but you can see why they get along the way that they do. And this group definitely seems to get along a certain type of way. Yeah. Good that's bunch cool. Of guys.
Yeah, I think that's kind of apparent as you see them working together, where you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like there's certain aspects of it. We already had a couple of conflicts at the beginning just to kind of set that tone, but also I think by the end of the pilot, you get a mutual respect across the way. You're the lovable rogue, as they always have it. He hits all the lovable rogue. I'm angry if I'm a mom. Blah, blah, blah,
I don't want to be here, but I'm gonna be here, I guess. If you make
pretty easy, straight up the middle. Let's see what they do with him over the course to see if they actually develop him a little bit more. It definitely Yep, Sam the hologram, great. I think
Carice Brooks brings a lot of heart to the crew. At first I was like, oh, she's gonna be the overeager, want to be everybe's friend, right? And but
Tilly.
She's gonna be the heart and soul of the crew. Like she at first I was like, oh, this is gonna be so annoying, and immediately you're like, oh, she's just really sweet. All right, fine. Like she just wins you over with her personality and how heartwarming her character can be. The doctor is still the doctor, and so all the way, which is great. It's consistent, consistency of character. Even though he can be really annoying and overbearing at times. I'm a little blown away that they kept that aspect, because you would think, being 800 some odd years old at this point, he'd probably have grown out of that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
I think they were kind of bringing. Yeah, I think they were bringing that a little bit from Prodigy, and kind of bringing that aspect of it in. That's why I can kind of see it. I do like the nods to nostalgia of Star Trek throughout, which is always cool. Like those are always fun.
There's a lot of nods.
And they did, yeah. But and again, it's one of those things where now to round it out, we can go back to some of the negatives. I would say, like from a negative standpoint, the way it's shot is shot more like the same. We all say this all the time. We blame J.J. Abrams for making the lens flares and the fucking dark overtones of the colors. Like, again, it is a future time. It's not as bright and airy, but it's still Star Trek, right? So there's a it's so dark at times where I'm kind of like, and Discovery had this problem too, where there's a kind of a tone overall with the way they color graded and everything that just kind of brings it down, and it makes it feel like a regular sci-fi show, not a Star Trek show. Like the part of the thing I liked about Star Trek was that it was bright and airy, and it had almost like this over, like, because you're in a starship, like everything's bright.
Right, that's true.
And,
yeah.
You know, and then when they went to a planet, shit got dark, and it could be whatever it was. But this one, it just seems like everything is that same tone, and so it almost brings it. And again, it gets a more of a cinematic feel. I get it, blah 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 blah. But that was one thing that stuck out of me. I would say the other negative I would say was like, the Jemadar Klingon thing is just like that's a whole. We could have a side discussion about why that doesn't work and it doesn't make any sense. However, we can give them the season to see if they address it. They probably won't, right. But knowing them and their discoveriness, they probably won't.
Well, and again, this is not to take away from Gina Yashir's performance. Gina Yashir as an actor, I'm not sure if this is the first thing that she's been in, but
no, she's been in a couple things, but nothing as like prominent. Nothing as prominent as like she's been a lot. She's more of a great supporting cast. Well, she's in a lot of like support acting, but
she is killing it on this. Like she is really nailed. Like I buy that she is what she's presented to be. That she's half Klingon, half Jemadar, and shows up the way you would think that combination. The controversy aside, she shows up the way you would think. She clearly did her research because she shows up exactly the way you would expect a half Jemadar, half Klingon officer would show up. So of course she's the drill sergeant of the group.
Yep. And done well too. And I like that.
Yes.
You get that right at the beginning. So you show the difference between what Holly, Captain Ake and then her style is, and then why they would work together, right? Like Captain Ake is a lot more nurturing. She has that thing where like Commander Thok is automatically like, yo, hit the floor. Give me 100 push-ups. What are you doing?
Give me 100 push-ups.
Yeah. Disrespect is not even, I'm not even entertaining disrespect.
100%.
Which I liked, and it really broke it apart. Negative wise, shout out to D'Angelo. They did not use the whistling in the pilot episode.
Yes.
I was gonna give that to him. They did not use it. I thought that was funny. I was waiting for it. When he came in whistling, and it was just a regular whistle.
What were the bets? Because we all bet, if I remember correctly.
I'll go look it up and see if we can slice that in there from what it was before. But yeah, that was interesting. I think the other, I would say, they did. When you watch it, you can definitely tell Discovery people made this in terms of just like how they put it together and like the kind of beats that they were hitting. And that's a good and bad thing. It could be bad for the long run, but for some of the parts that Discovery did get right, there's some good stuff in here.
I mean, it's on the right track. You know what I mean? And it's not, I think at least for the first 3 episodes, they've struck a solid balance of not being a young adult show. It's not, we joke about the Dawson's Creek thing, but it's not that. It definitely, like the adults definitely have a prominent role. It can lean towards the students a little here and there, like episode 3 that just dropped, I think yesterday or earlier this week, is a prank episode. So there's a prank war that wages between the War College students, the War College cadets, and the academy and the officer candidate cadets. And it's actually pretty funny. And it's a growth, and it's, within that, the subplot is them learning to work together as a team, recognizing each other's strengths and not overcompensating. Like, I should be the captain. No, Cam should be the captain because Cam, blah, 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 blah. And then whatever interpersonal, the third layer of subplotting, the interpersonal things that they have to get over within themselves to be able to figure out who should be doing what and playing to everybody's strengths. It was fun. It was fun and it was funny. And the second episode was a lot more diplomacy based. There's a negotiation that takes place because Beta Z withdrew from the Federation after the burn. So being one of the, I don't remember if they're a founding member of the Federation or if they're just like they became a major player. I know they became a major player before the burn goes down. And so there's this big push to welcome them back into the fold. And there's a diplomatic debate between that unfolds in front of the students as they debate whether or not Beta Z should actually bother to even rejoin the Federation, because if they were, the argument being, if they weren't able to take care of us during the burn, then how will they be able to take care of us now that they've rejoined? Like, y'all wasn't able to look out. So why should we bother? We figured out how to subsist on our own. And so they decide that to make that a teaching moment. And so they have the debate in front of the students instead of locked away in a room somewhere. And that nuance was very solid, very, very, cool. Very solid.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that steers it away from being, some young adult novel that just, is you can tell is there are adults there, but they're there for window dressing. That wasn't the case with episode 2. Episode 3 is all about the young adult.
and I think if they can kind of keep that balance, I think that might help them overall, where it's like, it's still Star Trek, right? So even if it's Dawson's Creek 2.0, but it's still hands-on things. There's still space, there's still captains, there's still stuff going on, there's still races, there's still a huge world going on within what's going on within their interpersonal relationships and that kind of thing. So I think and
they're relearn, and I think the good wrinkle or the interesting wrinkle is they're relearning how to be a federation, how to be a community of multiple races, multiple cultures. Relearning the sort of indoctrination of, that race is a warrior race that loves that race is a peace loving race. That's a race of telepaths, and they have, things that you need to consider. And this race is that, they've got they're sort of peeling back to relearning all of those things that made the Federation what it was / is. Which I think is sort of the grand experiment of one of the nuances of the grand experiment of reopening Starfleet Academy for the first time in 100 years. And it works to great effect.
Yeah, I think that's a part. So, again, we like being optimistic. And we always come into a Star Trek show. Yeah, we always go into a Star Trek show with optimism, and then we let them disappoint us. So I think, like, just initially, I'm feeling a lot better than when I first heard of the announcement, and I'm feeling a lot better when I first saw the trailer, and when I'm feeling a lot better when I saw the CW poster that mimics One Tree Hill. Field. Oh God, what are we doing?
So
what are we? Marketing people, what are we doing?
It's worth pointing out, at least to me, that considering what the original idea for Starfleet Academy was after Star Trek VI, when they first bandied about the idea. First, it was the, Kirk and Spock in the Academy years. Then it was a whole other crew that may have come about around the same time. Then they did that Q episode where Picard sort of gets to go back to before he got stabbed in the chest, and sort of use that as like a springboard. Like, that was Q shows him that was a defining moment for him, and uses and shows him how much of a springboard that was to him becoming the man that he became. So, so once that happened, there was talk of, we can make it Picard and, follow that sort of thread that got put out there in that Q episode. So, it's definitely had several iterations, but I think this works fine so far. I think people were initially disappointed when it wound up being all the way in the far-flung future. I was definitely one of those people, because I was looking forward to a next gen era iteration of the idea. But Yeah, it's fine. It's above fine. It's good. It's very good, even I would say so far. First blush, it's D'Angelo will vehemently disagree and no doubt debate that point to death, but it's fine. It's good. Bordering on very good.
Yeah, it's there's writing quibbles and there's other things like that, but I'm gonna give it a fair shake for the thing. We'll come back when it's over to kind of give us our thing to see if we were right to have this optimism, or is it in the depths of hell of Discovery season 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and again, I think with the ideas that they initially had with this Kirk and Spock in the academy, and using what's the name of the episode? I'm spazzing now. Tapestry. I think it was like a season 6 episode of Next Gen where Q takes Picard back to the past, and and shows him what could have been and what have you. So there, it's come a long way, and I think it was kudos to the team, to the production team, for taking a gamble, because people didn't necessarily want this version of the show, and I think they've done a good enough job to have proven the naysayers, myself being one of them. I think they've done a good enough job proving the naysayers wrong. And now it's a matter of whether or not they can maintain that consistency and not change the bloody tone of the show like they did midway through with Discovery. That's, I think, that let's just call it what it is. That is the 900-pound gorilla, elephant, whatever, Klingon, whatever it is in the room, that I think is hovering over this. And I think that was a lot of people's concern with this iteration of the idea for Starfleet Academy. So far, they're executing fine, but they've shown that they know how to start a show. Discovery was great at the beginning. Strange New Worlds was great at the beginning. Strange New Worlds was great at the beginning. And Prodigy was great all the way through. For all the seasons that it had. So, they know how to start a show. Now it becomes a matter of creating and maintaining consistency. If they can do that, thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be, and that's, again, because we know these are roughly the same people that did a Discovery or just involved in it. The showrunner actually is from Absentia, which was Absentia, yeah, which is Kate Beckett from what's it called? Why am I blanking on Nathan Fillon's show that he had? Castle.
Castle, right? Yes,
yes. So has the same actress from her. That was really good. So that's her only major like TV show credit, like in terms of being the creator. But we'll see how this plays out. So once again, we're Trekkies. We're here for it. Shout out to D'Angelo. He tried. I don't know if he'll ever come back, but at the end, we'll explain to him our impressions of the whole season, and then whether he should watch it or not. And I think that'll be the question for the recap of the whole show. Should D'Angelo watch it, and we can see if we can convince him, or if we be like, nah, you good.
Well, what I told him was the second episode definitely feels like more of a Star Trek show, less like Discovery, because I think that was part of his knock with the first episode, that it felt too much like Discovery, and it just gave him bad vibes, considering how the middle portion of Discovery was received by us. I understand where he's coming from. Like I can't even clown him for that.
Wait it out. Let us be the sacrificial lambs, and then we'll come back we'll come back if it's worth it. But once again, thank you to everybody for listening to us. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. Black Trekkies, we out here with you. So we'll talk soon, and we out. Peace.
Gang signs.
Live long and prosper.
Fools.